Everybody knows how to develop a quarterback. You're assuming that you're going into a program. I mean, I'm telling you, this is not, there's a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing when they're tasked with coaching a quarterback or calling an offense. So are you saying, I mean, just like we'd rank quarterbacks 1 to 32, do you rank offensive coordinators 1 to 32? Do you rank quarterback coaches 1 to 32? Well, what if you have the 32nd ranked coordinator in someone's mind, or the 32nd ranked quarterback coach? How is he getting a level of development that the guy who's first is getting?
Tom Brady just lit the league on fire by hinting the Cleveland Browns sabotaged Shedeur Sanders. Yes, sabotaged him. The legend basically said the Browns have no clue how to develop quarterbacks. And the moment those words dropped, everyone knew exactly who he was pointing at. In one shocking interview, Brady tore off the mask and revealed what fans have whispered for years. Some teams aren't just failing young QBs, they're setting them up to crash. The second he said it, all eyes locked on Cleveland. Because if Brady's right, Shedeur never even had a fair shot. He was tossed into a storm, blamed when it all fell apart, and left to drown in the chaos. Now the real question echoing through the league, did the Browns sabotage their own future and hope nobody would catch on?
The local Cleveland media keep going relentless on Shedeur Sanders. He entitled, distracted, developing slow, can't learn the playbook, not getting practice reps with the scout team, not getting practice reps at all. But what if I told you? Then don't none of that got to do nothing with football. His goes deeper than people realize. If y'all ain't seen the Tom Brady came out on Colin Cowherd, now this is pertaining to the Browns saying they developing quarterback.
It all started off calm, just another day on the herd with Colin Cowherd. Brady was supposed to be talking about quarterback development, simple stuff, no drama, no fireworks. But out of nowhere, he dropped a bomb that shook the NFL to its core. He said, "There's a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing when they're tasked with coaching a quarterback." One line, that's all it took. Within minutes, fans went wild, connecting the dots straight to Cleveland and Shedeur Sanders, the rookie everyone claims is struggling to adjust. Brady didn't have to name names because the clues were all there. He talked about coaching staffs ranked dead last, young quarterbacks left clueless, and organizations pretending to develop players while secretly tearing them apart from the inside. Most casual viewers thought it was just a league-wide critique, but for anyone paying attention to the Browns, it hit way too close to home. The chaos, the confusion, the constant mixed messages. It's the exact story playing out in Cleveland right now. A young quarterback treated like a burden instead of being molded into a star.
Let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance with the play calling. You know you have an offensive line that isn't playing that well. So what do? Why not just play the short game so he can get the ball out of his hands very fast to run a competent goddamn offense? Outside of that, Shedeur has to be better in understanding that the offensive line that you're working with right now is not adequate. Why not allow the players that are competing for a job, in this instance, Shedeur Sanders, to finish off the 2 minutes?
The reaction hit like a lightning strike. Within hours, clips from that interview flooded every corner of the internet. Twitter went nuclear. Analysts were slicing Brady's quote next to footage of Shedeur sitting on the sidelines during drills. And by sunset, Brady exposes the Browns was trending across all of NFL Twitter. It wasn't just a hot take, it was a warning shot fired straight at the heart of Cleveland's organization. Brady was voicing what players have whispered for years. The NFL doesn't have a player problem, it has a coaching crisis. Cleveland has turned quarterback drama into a yearly tradition. New coaches, new schemes, new promises, same ugly results. Every offseason feels like they hit the reset button and call it development. But behind the scenes, it's pure confusion. Players describe meetings full of mixed messages, playbooks that change every week, and zero consistency. One coach says, "We're building." Another says, "We're evaluating." Translation: nobody knows what's going on, and Shedeur Sanders is the one caught in the middle, paying the price for their chaos. Then came the jaw-dropper that made it all worse. Team owner Jimmy Haslam admitted he didn't even know Shedeur had been signed. Let that sink in. The man running the franchise didn't know who his own rookie quarterback was. That's not just sloppy, that's negligence. The Browns keep selling fans a development plan. But how can you build anything when leadership doesn't even communicate? This isn't a rebuild. It's chaos disguised with a headset. And thanks to Brady, that dysfunction is finally out in the open for everyone to see.
But I'm going to answer this question by saying Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to tell you why. I think he's being set up to fail. That's right, I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Here we are on national television, right? There's been 11 practices, if I remember correctly. He's been starting against he's been playing against the third unit. He's fourth on the depth chart. And then suddenly you throw him into the start lineup, and he hasn't had any reps with the first team at all. Think about that. So you're just gonna throw him to the wolves like that, huh? I mean, you know, if he had first team snaps in practice, I don't say that.
This is where it stops being speculation and starts looking real. Because when you break down how Cleveland's handled Shedeur Sanders, it's impossible not to see a setup. He's barely gotten first-team reps, tossed into random drills with the third unit, and then suddenly thrown into live action with everyone watching, told to prove himself with no rhythm, no chemistry, no real preparation. That's not development. That's sabotage dressed up as opportunity. Even veteran analysts are calling it out. You don't build a quarterback by isolating him from the starters and then blaming him when things fall apart. Meanwhile, the media spins it like Shedeur's not ready, too distracted, or struggling to adjust. But come on, how could anyone thrive in a system this broken? It's like asking someone to fly a jet after stripping off the wings. Brady recognized it immediately. He saw the same dysfunction he narrowly escaped early in his own career. The difference? Brady had real coaches who believed in structure and discipline. Shedeur is surrounded by people who talk development but don't live it. That's why Brady's words hit the league like a thunderclap. He wasn't speaking hypothetically. He was describing this exact situation. The moment that segment aired, the internet exploded. Hashtags like #BrownSabotage lit up Twitter, clips went viral, and fans started digging deeper. Cleveland's local media scrambled to spin the story, but it only made things worse. Every defense sounded like an excuse, and the fire just kept spreading.
Why is the third quarterback getting interviewed? You got nothing to do with the game. Okay, it's all for media clicks. And, he's a heck of a personality, but the personality can't come out until you do something on the field. And, it's a big week for Dylan Gabriel and a big week for the Browns. I mean, making that transition for him even be available to the press. I don't know why he's doing it.
You tell me. You know how that works. Is that the front office? Is that the comms team? Like, who's putting him out? So we're saying it's not really on him. We have to protect him. He's a young player.
Yep.
Why are we making him available?
Exactly. To me, I mean, there's no sense to have him available.
Instead of breaking down Brady's message, the media flipped it and went straight after Shedeur, calling him entitled, unfocused, and not ready for the pros. Classic misdirection. Blame the player, protect the system. But this time, fans weren't buying it for a second. Every clip, every quote, every leaked comment from Brown staff started to look shady. Why was Shedeur being blocked from first-team reps? Why was he doing interviews when the team claimed he wasn't even part of their long-term plan? And why did the owner sound like he barely knew the kid existed? Something wasn't adding up. Then Stephen A. Smith jumped into the chaos, and that's when it went nuclear. He didn't just back Brady up, he doubled down, calling the Browns' handling of Shedeur entrapment. He said they didn't give him a chance to succeed, they set him up to fail. And when respected ESPN analyst Louis Riddick dropped cold, hard data about the reps, coaching structure, and lack of guidance, the narrative shifted instantly. It wasn't rumor anymore, it was evidence. For the first time, people started seeing the Browns not as victims of bad luck, but as the ones responsible. Because when every quarterback that passes through your system crashes and burns, maybe it's not the players, maybe it's the system itself. That's exactly what Brady wanted everyone to realize. In the NFL, players get ranked, graded, and cut under the spotlight. But coaches, they get excuses. Brady nailed it when he said, everyone ranks quarterbacks 1 to 32, but what if your coach is ranked 32nd? That line hit the entire league like a sledgehammer because it's the ugly truth. Development isn't luck. It's about coaching, repetition, and structure. And if your offensive coordinator doesn't know what he's doing, your career can vanish before it even begins. Here's the kicker. Nobody ever tracks them. A quarterback misses a read, and it's national news. A coach calls the wrong play, and they call it part of the process. That's the double standard Brady exposed. And it's exactly what's tearing Cleveland apart. The Browns have been cycling through offensive coordinators like a broken carousel, and every season, another quarterback gets thrown off and blamed for the crash. The pattern never changes because the accountability never climbs up the ladder. Brady's message cut deep, simple but devastating. You can't expect elite results from average coaching. You can't judge a quarterback who was never truly taught. And that's exactly why Shedeur's situation hit so hard. Because this isn't about his talent, it's about the system built to fail him while pretending it's helping. Then came the quote that turned a bad look into a full-blown scandal. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam casually admitted he didn't even know about Shedeur Sanders signing. Not forgot, not misspoke. He flat out said the decision wasn't his, that the coaching staff handled it. Let that sink in. The owner of an NFL franchise with millions tied up in quarterbacks had no clue his team just brought in one of the most talked about prospects in the nation. That's not leadership. That's chaos in a suit. Brady's entire message suddenly made perfect sense. If the top of your organization doesn't know what's happening, how can anyone below possibly build a quarterback the right way? It's like running a business where the CEO doesn't even know who was just hired. The Browns tried to spin it, throwing out the usual PR talk about trusting the process and shared responsibility, but it only made things worse. Coming right after Brady's interview, it sounded less like confidence and more like a cover-up, and fans caught on instantly. Haslam's quote stopped being a gaffe. It became proof that nobody in Cleveland is really steering the ship. Brady didn't just expose a bad team, he exposed a broken hierarchy. Because now it's no longer about one rookie quarterback. It's about an entire franchise pretending to have a plan when, in reality, they've been winging it the whole time. Once Brady spoke, the court of public opinion kicked into overdrive. Cleveland was on trial. Twitter, Reddit, and ESPN turned into crime scenes of analysis. Fans were zooming into practice clips, sideline reactions, even body language, frame by frame. Suddenly, everything the Browns did looked suspicious. Why was Shedeur rarely seen taking first-team reps? Why was a supposed third-string quarterback doing post-game interviews after a loss? Every move looked like part of a bigger, messy plot, and the internet wasn't letting it slide. None of it made sense unless you believed Brady's theory. That's when public opinion flipped overnight. Before, the story was all about Shedeur's not ready. But now it became, are the Browns setting him up? The internet connected the dots faster than Cleveland's PR team could react. Conspiracy threads turned into trending hashtags, and suddenly everyone was side-eyeing the Browns' so-called development plan. Players from other teams even started liking posts calling out Cleveland's fake commitment to building quarterbacks. And just like that, this wasn't a local story anymore. It exploded into a national headline. Because when the GOAT hints that something smells off, fans start sniffing around, and the more they dug, the uglier it got. Shedeur wasn't just underperforming. He was being isolated, cut off from top reps, given no consistency, and then blamed for the chaos left around him. In the age of social media, that's all it takes. One Brady quote turned a rookie's rough start into a public trial. Only this time, the player wasn't the one on trial. The franchise was. And here's what makes it sting even more. Tom Brady was Shedeur Sanders once. A late-round pick, doubted, overlooked, barely given reps. He sat quietly, studied, and waited while the football world ignored him. The difference? Brady had coaches who believed in development. Bill Belichick and Dick Rabine didn't just evaluate Brady, they built him. They gave him structure, patience, and accountability. When Brady's quarterback coach tragically passed away during camp, Belichick himself stepped in to fill that role. That's how serious they were about development. Now fast forward to Cleveland. Shedeur's in the same position Brady once was, but surrounded by coaches more focused on politics than progress. No mentorship, no leadership, no real direction. Just empty buzzwords like competition and evaluation. That's the cruel irony Brady sees. He knows exactly how fragile a young quarterback's early years are, how quickly potential can be destroyed when no one truly cares to nurture it. And deep down, he knows if he hadn't been developed the right way, he might have vanished just like the QBs Cleveland keeps breaking. Maybe the world never would have seen the GOAT if Brady hadn't been developed right, and that's exactly why he's speaking up now. He's not just defending one rookie, he's defending an entire generation of young quarterbacks fighting for a fair shot. Deep down, he knows what it feels like to be doubted, overlooked, and almost buried by a broken system before you even get started. Brady's words might have been directed at Cleveland, but the echo shook the whole NFL, because what he exposed isn't just a Browns problem, it's a league-wide crisis. Every year, new quarterbacks come in with dreams and raw potential, and every year, half of them vanish before they ever get a real chance. Why? Because the system's broken. Teams preach development, but behind closed doors, it's straight-up chaos. New playbooks every season. Coaches chasing ego instead of growth. No patience, no structure. Brady just said out loud what players whisper in locker rooms. Coaching is the NFL's biggest blind spot. Quarterbacks get benched for one bad drive, while coaches survive years of failure and excuses. It's a vicious cycle that protects authority instead of building accountability. And Shedeur Sanders might just be the latest victim caught in that storm. He walked into a franchise that preaches growth but delivers confusion. When things go wrong, the blame never climbs the ladder. It lands right on the player's back. That's why Brady's message hit so hard. It wasn't a rant, it was a warning shot. If the league keeps shielding coaches and blaming players, it's going to keep losing future stars before they ever have a chance to shine. Maybe it's time to stop rebuilding quarterbacks and start rebuilding coaches. Because in a league obsessed with talent, the real issue isn't who's under center, it's who's holding the clipboard. Brady's not calling out Cleveland just to stir controversy. He's sounding an alarm the entire league can't afford to ignore. So the real question isn't if Tom Brady's right, it's how long can the NFL pretend he's not? When the greatest quarterback of all time says the system is broken, you don't shrug it off. You listen. Cleveland can spin, deny, and deflect all at once, but the damage is already done. The entire league just got a front row seat to how fragile development really is, and how easily it turns into sabotage when leadership loses accountability. Shedeur Sanders didn't ask for this spotlight. He just wanted a fair chance. And maybe that's what Brady's trying to give him, not through coaching, but through truth. Because when a legend exposes the system, he's not protecting one man. He's warning everyone still trapped inside. So here's the real question echoing across the league. If the GOAT can spot sabotage from the outside, how many young quarterbacks are being set up from within?